in preparation for Thursday night. Agenda item number 1, assignments. I have down Councilmember Peterson to introduce the Scouts. I understand this afternoon our pastor is not able to attend, and so we'll look and see if someone is available. If not, Councilmember Ray, you'll be here.
I prayed last time. Happy to do it.
You prayed last time? Okay. Vice Mayor Cooper, all right. But we'll still look and see if we've got other options.
Please.
Agenda item number 1, the soccer team recognition, Councilmember Daniels. Agenda item number 3, football team recognition. Now, see, Jordan, I didn't know you were, I put Eddie down, because normally for some reason I've got you tied to football, but Councilmember Cook, if you can do number 3. I've got basketball, volleyball, never mind. The other item I wanted to bring up before I do ask if you have agenda items, we have as a council put as an exception public hearing items, and this we will cover on Thursday night, but there were a couple of council members that had a chance to meet with Stephen Earl, who's representing the applicant on agenda item number 16. If they're, and that can wait till Thursday night unless you did have any questions on 16. We might do that first and then send him on his way. Is there 16, is that something that we can wait till Thursday night? Is there anything that needed to be covered tonight? Part of why it will be important to bring it up on Thursday night is the subject is taking a pad that was business park, and the consideration is for commercial, which is the council we've been very focused on jobs, but I think as you hear the presentation that will make more sense, but we'll do that on Thursday night. So Stephen, stay here as long as you like. Don't forget the character counts race on Saturday. We talked about that before, so he's up to speed and ready to go. Back to agenda item number 1 then. Other agenda items, Councilmember Peterson, do you have some items you would like to have discussed?
Mayor, number 6, 7A, and I think that's it for now. Oh, well, 17, Mayor, I know it's public hearing. I would like to just make a couple comments on that. It doesn't have to be extensive discussion, but.
Thank you. Councilmember Ray? And Vice Mayor Cooper? Okay, let's see what I had on my list. I replicated a couple of Councilmember Peterson's. I think I might just add that one. Okay, we'll do the systematic approach. Agenda item number 6, Councilmember Peterson.
Mayor, I had a question for Curtis on this. Just wondered how the other bid compared. I didn't see that yet. If you could tell us. I know there was one other response.
You have to turn this on? Mayor, Councilmember Peterson, these are the two bid quotes that we had, and Sunland was the successful low bidder.
And obviously for good reason. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. The other question, were you able to resolve that conflict on Exhibit A about the different thicknesses? Can you help me with that?
Mayor and Councilmember Peterson, the standard specifications for the thickness for the Type A are smaller because of the rock on a Type A is a lot smaller, but those are just standard specifications. Our specifications is the 1 inch minimum.
All right, I don't, and that makes sense to me, but I wonder if we
could take that out.
I wonder if we just take out the language on the standard one because it's written 2 different ways.
It's a little confusing.
½ inch here, 1 inch there.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wondered on that. And then I just had another point of discussion. This is, I don't know how the rest of the council feels about this, but part of the contract gives the ability of staff to renew. I think it's for 3 additional 1-year terms. based on certain conditions, if it's under 100,000, which is our code anyway, or if the price stays the same, or if the price, I guess, increases less than 3%. I guess what I'm wondering is, with the volatility of these kinds of products, if it wouldn't make more sense to have the renewal ability be tagged to some kind of an index related to fuel costs or something, because sometimes costs can go down, not just up. And so I just wonder if there's others who have that concern.
Other council members have noticed that, and Curtis, do you have any comments on that?
Just the comment I only have, Mayor, is just that, you know, the contractors are awarded the 3% consumer price index in the contract, and if they do request that, and they don't always request that, if they do request that, we make them show us, you know, why they're asking for that. Typically, they'll show us their invoices, which show the cost of their material from their suppliers gone up or something like that. But, you know, the last few years, just because of Councilmember Peterson's point, we have just gone back out to bid because of the fluctuation in the oil prices and stuff. But, you know, it's always an option in the contract, but we don't always do it. We do go back out to bid. In the last 3 years, we have done that. So,
thank you. Councilmember Daniels.
I'm wondering if that isn't part of a purchasing policy that we should look into rather than doing it on a case-by-case basis. Let's maybe have our purchasing department look into tying something like that, because I think that if that is good practice, it would be a good overall practice rather than on an individual contract. So perhaps you can look at it from that angle.
Totally agree. Thank you.
So listening to the two of you, I'm going to just do a left-hand gesture to town leadership and let you take that suggestion and move forward. Thank you. Curtis, before you depart, I was trying to analyze attachment D to get a sense of how much area, and you've done presentations in the past to give some statistics about how many miles of roadway we have and so forth. Do you have any proportion you could give as to how much area this covers? Is it 1/1000th of Gilbert or 1/100th, or and how often do we do this? Can you give a couple of those reminders?
Mayor, here are the locations of the project for this fiscal year. You can see it's 4 subdivisions and a portion of Gilbert Road north of Guadalupe to Baseline.
And you have educated us before. There's a cycle from a maintenance standpoint of how often we do this. Can you give a quick reminder on that?
Yeah, it's on an as-needed basis, Mayor. Typically, we try and look at every street about every 5 years. At that time, we can assess it and determine it's okay for another year or two, come back and look at it, and then see what it needs. But typically, about every 5 years, we try and touch or do something to every road, or at least look at it and see what they need.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Anything else on 6? Vice Mayor Cooper?
Just a question on that Gilbert Road, the north 700 feet to Baseline, just making sure that that's coordinating with the CIP project to widen the intersection there. Sounds like it probably is.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7, Councilmember Peterson.
It was actually 7A, Mayor, and my comment's very brief. In fact, what you'll have on this item is complete silence for me as far as yea or nay, because I have to recuse myself on that item. So I just wanted to explain that, have that out there. So I don't think I'd forget, but in case you can help me remember, but can't vote on that.
And that's agenda item number 8. 7.
7A.
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 Thank you for the helpful ears. Then number 11, I wanted to mark I think the council had a chance to read it. If you were to give an executive summary of 30 to 60 seconds, I think this will be helpful for the council to hear. So we're doing a disaster recovery. Give us the quick overview.
Sure. Mayor Lewis and council, we've talked at times disaster recovery. We don't have resources built for that here at the town, and so we've started in IT a process of evaluating what our needs are and coming up with a plan. And the plan is not complete yet. It's a very large endeavor. But we have established what I would say is 3 main bullet points. What I would call is some enterprise resource investment, and then dividing it into a police investment and a municipal investment. So what you're seeing tonight are some items that we've identified as some things that we need to do to get started on that we can start sooner than later, that we have some staff availability to begin. And so the 3 items specifically tonight is establishing some specifically air conditioning at our South Area Service Center, which will cool the data center down there. Currently, that facility is cooled by the air conditioning of the overall building. Typically in data centers, because of the excessive heat that they develop, because of the equipment in them, you'll have a specialized, specific air conditioning for that room, essentially. So that's the first item that you're seeing in the agenda tonight. The second item in there is a second internet service. And so the idea currently, all of our internet service comes into the municipal facility, and then it's shared over fiber optic to all of the facilities in the town boundary. And so this project would bring us in a second service to the South Area Service Center. Geographically, the way that that's configured through CenturyLink, they have separate facilities themselves, one in the north part of our town, one in the south part of our town. So that will provide diversity within the providers. In terms of service, that will protect any kind of, as you can imagine, all of you know what you feel when internet service goes away. It's used largely by staff for all kinds of day-to-day tasks, as well as many of our online services that we provide. So in a nutshell, that's what the internet service project is. And then the third component of that, in public safety, high regulatory requirements, high demand environment, and very specific software. So we're looking to bring in Intergraph, who is our consultant software provider in that area, to do an assessment with us and with the police staff, make sure that we haven't missed anything in the planning processes, to be sure that our plan is solid before we start investing money into that part of the business. Overall, the last 3 sheets or so of the council communication, I included some high-level milestones that we're looking to target as we move through this process, wanting to evaluate each of our systems, ensure that we're looking at how important they are, determine priorities that we would invest money to bring them back online, so that we're not over-investing or under-investing, really wanting to hit that sweet spot. So I'm not sure how much more detail.
I think for sake of my question, that overview, that works. Thank you. And then it was also to thank you for doing this. We've had some discussion from a council perspective on this topic. Is it one of the WIGs also that the IT team is following up on?
Mayor Lewis, we finished a set of WIGs at the end of January. We've taken a little time out to do a real detailed set of planning so that we can put a good solid list of tasks together. The intent is in the next few weeks to begin the WIG process again in IT, and this will be the major focus, along with we're going to put in some filler work. As you can imagine, as big as this project is, it still requires a lot of specialty skills that have to happen in a sequence, and so we'll fill in the off hours for everybody else, if you will, with those other projects. But yeah.
Thank you. Anything else from the council on that agenda item?
Mayor, just real quick note, this is something that came up last year in August during my evaluation process, and that we did not have a disaster recovery plan for the town, and that we felt it was a high enough priority to begin that post-haste. So that is, it was not an identified WIG at the beginning of the fiscal year, but it is something that we have been working on in addition to the already targeted strategic priorities.
Thank you. Agenda item 17, Councilmember Peterson.
Mayor, on this one, my preference is, just as a general statement, I would like to separate any code changes that are basically minor corrections to reflect current practice from code changes that would be significantly changing our practice through the change. The reason I say that is I think we could very quickly adopt those minor adjustments, but some of the changes here I think are significant. And I would like to have more time. Maybe we would begin this discussion now. Maybe we could finish it in this week. I don't know. But I think there are some pretty significant considerations. With that, I'm prepared to discuss in more detail if there's more interest, but that would be my preference.
Since this is primarily a council item, and yes, we do want to have the public hear it, but I think it would be appropriate to have some discussion. As I look at this, I had the same feeling that some of them are really minor. And Susan, you might even be able to give us a little bit of an overview as to why some of the changes are being made. And then why don't you do the quick overview, and then Councilmember Peterson, if there's some that you would suggest we discuss today, let's do it.
Could I get one piece of clarification? When I talked to Councilmember Peterson, he was most interested in the part of the code regarding the town manager's duties. Did you mean the entire ordinance, or did you mean the
I think my question is just really
then I know where to go.
high level as to why this section is being reviewed.
Okay. In 2006, there was a major reorganization of town government. And an ordinance conforming the code to that was never adopted. There's been probably 2 since then. And so the biggest need is to conform the code to your actual organization, which is in place. So the change would be a major change to the current code, but it's not a major change to your organization. And that has to do with the way the departments are set up. That was why I asked that question, because the town has been operating for some time in some form of what the department organization is as it's set up in that code, in that ordinance. There's less departments. Some things have been taken under the manager's office, and we eliminated the current code actually has provisions related to not just the directors and the department's duties, but it goes often down to the managers or supervisors' duties, especially in the Department of Public Works, but maybe in a couple others. We only included in the code the general duties of the departments, and then how it's organized under that is up to the department head to make a decision. So that's a big change, but it's the current practice. Actually, the other changes are mostly related to the town manager's duties. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And so, Councilmember Peterson?
So I guess I would say the first category, which is just, again, to align the code with basically the way we're running, the way we're structured, I don't really have much of a, I don't have a problem with that. It was the other type that I thought we should have more discussion on, and if we can get it all figured out this week, that's fine too, but even just separating them is helpful. I wonder, could we get some kind of a clear list that tells us which is which, or is it pretty?
You mean as to the entire, I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding. You mean as to the changes from the current code, which goes back a long way and was never updated for the 3 reorganizations or 4 that occurred, the changes from the current code or the current practice?
What I'm saying is the changes to the code that align with what we're currently doing, let's separate those from the ones that would change our practices in any way.
I understand. We could do that.
And not to put you down to the minute, but is that something as early as tomorrow? Is that a quick summary so that we'd have time to look at it, or is that something we might not get until Thursday night?
Give me just a minute.
Susan, continue to look. I'm going to just mention something related to future meetings. The council members have received a sheet that we talked about this last time we were together, and so June 3rd, we are going to change our study session from Tuesday, June 4th to June 3rd, and then our joint meeting with the chamber will be taking place on June 4th in the morning, at 7:30 a.m. So those two changes have, with feedback from the council and town leadership, they are officially being made. And Kathy, we don't need to do a council vote. This is just done. Okay. Did that give you enough time, Susan?
Yes, it did. I just had to refresh myself as the changes. I could get something out in bullet point form by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. I kind of jumped to future meetings and so there are several on the council that are actively, and it might be all 7 of us, helping with the Mayor's Characters Fun Run, which is this Saturday. And so I'll just take a moment. I know this is going to be hard for those here at council chambers to see, but we do have flyers at the back of the room. The reason why I mention it today is that the organizers are hoping to have registration finalized by Wednesday. You can register on the day of the race, but if we can do it by Wednesday, that will give excuse me, enough time to make sure that all the proper T-shirts. This is a run that will take place at the Riparian Park. Parking will take place at the Greenfield Lutheran Church on Greenfield Road, halfway between Elliott and Guadalupe. And that's the parking spot. And the fun run is to have someone else on your team. And it can be many, but at a minimum it would be 2. And you have 4 miles, 2 miles to do bike riding, 2 miles to run. And so that's kind of a unique, and that's why it says fun run. And so we encourage all of us to spread the word and to have registration done by Wednesday. So far, Peterson family's in, Ray family's in, Lewis family's in.
We're in today, too.
Coopers are in today. So Jared's on a special assignment with Ethan. Yeah. Okay. This is not to put pressure on the Cook family because they may have another conflict, but.
Well, because you can't be at 2 places at one time, I'm going to help out with the first baseball pitch with the Gilbert Little League, since
Excellent.
they would love to have you, but you obviously, I'm covering for you at another location.
Okay.
So if I could come late, I'd be glad. I could be, I could try to catch up to you as you leave.
This is called teamwork, so that works. I guess what I'm saying is we now have 5 council members in fierce competition, and that will be another reason why the Gilbert citizens will want to come and see this. And I should have gone 2 more spots. Is the Banjer family, are you at this? Is Sydney and Dad in this?
Belinda, I think. Yeah, if Belinda's chasing me, I'll be running.
All right. And, I should probably stop. This is not the proper way to, it's just all of Gilbert is invited, and the website, I will announce, and then we'll move on, is www.mayorscharacterrace.com. Then I'll make one more current event update. Thank you to Mark Skasipic. I received, by attending the East Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast this morning, an autograph from Meadowlark Lemon, who was the speaker, and his enthusiasm was felt. Any guesses how old Meadowlark Lemon is?
81.
Not quite. He's about to turn 80. And his enthusiasm was felt. Gilbert was, for citizens who hadn't heard, Gilbert was the host of the East Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. 7 cities attended at the Elegante, and a great event. Now, before we go to agenda item 2 on today's study session, anything else related to preparation for Thursday night? Thank you. Agenda item number 2 is a presentation and discussion of progress on our tourism strategy for the town. Please.
Thank you, Your Honor, and council members. Scott Anderson, Parks and Recreation, and I have with me today Mandy Alexander. Mandy is an intern who's come to us from Western Illinois University. She's been working with me since January. If you remember the last time I came and talked to you, we were talking about the bed tax, and there was some discussion about, let's talk about a strategy for tourism. My strategy has arrived, and she's helped tremendously in the last couple of months. And so we'd like to make a brief presentation about where we're at with tourism development in the town. I'm going to let Mandy explain that through the PowerPoint presentation. There are a couple of places where I'll add some additional information in.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. The first two charts here are basically just displaying the tourism role in Arizona in Maricopa and Pima County. The bar graph on the left shows that nearly 70% of travel-generated employment is within the counties of Maricopa and Pima. And referencing to the bar graph on the right, travel employment is actually more significant in the non-metropolitan areas of the state. For the Arizona's travel and tourism industry economic impact, I pulled these right off the AOT's website. No other Arizona industry produces the same economic impact for the Grand Canyon State as the Arizona tourism industry. Tourism is Arizona's top export-oriented industry and directly impacts all 15 counties. Tourism is the driving force in establishing the quality of life message and amenities that are necessary to make Arizona an attractive place to live, work, and visit. 37.6 million number of domestic and international overnight visitors who experience Arizona as a travel destination. So just keep those in mind. Short-term goals that we've had are to implement the tourism website, mobile app for the Heritage District, contest opportunity for the Riparian Preserve app, produce Get Gilbert featured in the Small Wonders brochure. We've had the discussion with the Mesa Convention Visitors Bureau for the Proposition 302 fund. We've purchased Smith Travel Reports. We've created or in progress of the Experience Gilbert brochure. We've identified top advertising opportunities, established the ACT board, and preparing something, a short-term goal is to prepare tourism packages for tours.
And Mandy, obviously, the checks would tell us that 6 out of the 10 items there are complete.
Yeah. Or well, they're in the progress complete. We're working on them, definitely. That's what the check marks were. Some long-term goals for Gilbert is possibly to get FAM tour development here, attend and promote Gilbert at targeted trade shows, continue to promote Gilbert for day tourism. Right now, Gilbert has the Riparian Preserve, unique dining experiences, current festivals and events throughout the year, sports venues, get away from that large city feeling, and leisure activities here. Consider opportunities for Gilbert to become an overnight tourist destination in the future. Something to think about would be resorts or getting creative with green resorts, multi-use recreation, meeting facilities, expanding cultural center and museum, water parks. The good thing is Gilbert is a growing community, so we can think about these things and possibly establish a location and phone number for travel information. Expanding on that, the Travel Information Center, we realize the future is with social media, but based on demographics and research, there is still a need for a central location for people to find their information. Establish a phone number for tourists to call. Ready-to-go brochures, pictures, and ads of things to do in Gilbert to coincide with the tourism website. A gift shop. The good thing about the concept for an information center would be that you can strategically, we're not asking for a big facility by any means, just a small place for tourists to go when they get here to get their information. You can strategically place these throughout Gilbert with kiosks and using social advertising with the TVs, the new technology. These would be cost efficient. It would only take a few people to manage, and the good thing is we'd be satisfying the needs of those tourists who want their information on paper and for those who are more technology driven. Statistics for walk-ins for the surrounding areas. Mesa CVB gets about 45 to 70 people walk in their Convention Visitors Bureau during peak season. Tempe only gets about 10 to 15 walk-ins per day. Glendale only gets 30 to 40, and Scottsdale gets about 25 to 30, could be more with them. But these statistics just kind of show that we don't need a big Convention Visitors Bureau here, we would be focusing on something more small for tourists that come in. The types of tourism here in Gilbert that we see now are sports tourism, history and culture, ecotourism, medical tourism, leisure tourism, culinary tourism, science and technology tourism, and all these amount to good day tourism here in Gilbert. For the tourism website, we have purchased and we are in the finalization process of this website. Anticipate launch for March. Updates are needed regularly. In the tabs on here will be getting to Gilbert, things to do, where to stay, meeting facilities, businesses and hospitals, places to eat, and events to attend. Currently, social media is being used here in Gilbert with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Flickr, YouTube, Town of Gilbert, maybe a few others, and these are all being used very well to update Gilbert, your town residents. We are currently working on getting Gilbert featured in the Small Wonders brochure that is created by Local First Arizona, a nonprofit organization supporting local economies by working with the locally owned businesses throughout Gilbert. 17 local businesses here in Gilbert will be featured in the brochure. We've implemented the Gilbert Happening section, and that's a description of the events happening in Gilbert. And Scott is going to tell you about the Prop 302 funds.
Prop 302, if you're familiar with that, was passed by the voters back in 1999, and this was a specific fund that was set up to promote marketing of tourism in Maricopa County. It involves a surcharge on car rentals and also a 1% tax on hotels. The money's collected by the state, but the Arizona Office of Tourism actually administers that to the what are called the DMOs, or the Destination Marketing Organizations, which we would be one of those. Or like the Mesa Convention and Visitors Bureau is also a DMO. Problem with Gilbert is that we did not meet the threshold, which was a certain amount that you need to be spending on marketing of tourism in your community in order to receive some of those funds directly from AOT. But there was a possibility to share or to work cooperatively with another DMO to receive some funds, and that's what Mesa CVB has been doing. They've worked with us and also with Queen Creek, and our share of that was $47,000 that we received through Proposition 302 that the Mesa CVB's coordinated. And some of the things that they've done for us, that $47,000, we have spent about $12,000 of that on the website and website development. We've also been doing some other ads in the Mesa Gateway information, the information board. As you come deep plane out there, there's a large board, and we will actually have advertising on that for Gilbert. They also, we're working with TripAdvisor. We will be featured in TripAdvisor, which is an important place to go to learn about information in the community that you want to visit. The FAM tours, there's a significant amount of money that's reserved out of that $47,000 that are for the familiarization tours. There's different types. One type are the tours where you actually invite tour operators, travel agents, those types of people to come and spend time in your community and get familiar with the attractions, the hotels, and so forth. Mesa has actually hosted one of those already and will be doing another one this spring. And they've also done a media tour where they invited people from media. We had someone from the Los Angeles Times, I think, that was here a few weeks ago, spent time in Gilbert learning about our culinary experiences. And there's actually an article that I think Mandy has brought with her to share with you later that he wrote about his culinary experience in Gilbert in the Los Angeles Times. So it was a pretty good article. But those are some of the things that we're purchasing with the money that has been provided to us through Proposition 302. There are some other advertising opportunities that we'll be purchasing also. The Smith Travel Reports, this is an important source of data that we have purchased that helps us to understand occupancy rates, the rates that hotels charge. The most important thing is where we can get some average numbers about what kind of occupancy rates, whether or not we're successful in being able to secure higher occupancy rates, how that changes over time, what causes those changes. It's the kind of data that we can pull from the Smith Travel Reports that are very important, and we share these with economic development and other parts of the community that may want to know this kind of data that helps with tourism activities. I think Mandy's going to continue from here.
All right. So our current advertising strategies are, we are currently being promoted in the Sunseeker in-flight magazine for Allegiant. We've reached out to Southwest Airlines for an audience retargeting digital media opportunity, and we've confirmed this for the months of October, November, and February of 2013 and 2014. TripAdvisor, we've contacted the sales representative, and we're going to start getting Gilbert up and going on TripAdvisor the way it should be. Arizona Office of Tourism website, we're in the process of updating the information there on Gilbert, and we're also in the process of gathering information to give them for their free promotional opportunities. We're looking into birding tours are our best birding tour advertising opportunities because there's unique experiences here in Gilbert. Madden Media, we're potentially getting featured in the official Arizona Visitors Guide, and we're in the process of making final decisions for that. And the Arizona Highways magazine, we're in the process of purchasing ad space in the magazine and getting involved on their social media as well. The Heritage District app, it's in its final stages. It should be live in March. This app will be very beneficial to tourists as they visit the downtown area. It features a walking guided tour of Gilbert's historic buildings that are filled with its rich history and culture. The ACT board is established. We hope to have representatives from the hotel industry there at each meeting. The first meeting was held in February, and they'll meet on a monthly basis. For the tourism brochure, we've created the Experience Gilbert brochure. It's in its final stages with the media staff. It coincides with the tourism website as well, with the tabs there. For social media, now focusing on social media from a tourism perspective. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, social media is being used to update current residents here in Gilbert. But from a tourism perspective, using social media for focused efforts on events going on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, specifically related to tourism opportunities. Tourist-friendly pictures of Gilbert, reaching out to the Gilbert restaurants for their deals and specials, providing relevant information. You can use all that on social media, just focusing from a tourism perspective. Just for examples, you can use Facebook for promoting the events and festivals and just focusing on that. Same thing with Twitter. You can reach out to restaurants for upcoming events, hot deals in Gilbert, fun places to visit, tourism facts and statistics, and you can even put travel itineraries on there for people to check out, geocaching spots. Pinterest, you can use this for the people that have Pinterest. It's becoming a popular app, and what you can do is you can pin a picture on your board, and you can use it, and tourists can use it for a resource later. One beautiful picture of Gilbert could become someone's destination, potentially. This is a screenshot of Mesa's Pinterest. And what you do is you can make these tabs, so they have where to stay, outdoors, things to see and do, so you can create those. So if Gilbert were to have one, we could create our own boards and put our own pictures on here. And just for an example, that picture was taken from a staff at the Mesa Convention Visitors Bureau, and that's Agritopia out at Joe's Farm Grill. So if someone were to go to Mesa's Pinterest, they can use these pictures and go back to them and find out where it's at, and they can make it a destination if they'd like. Focusing on tourism from a small perspective, supporting locally, getting Gilbert's name out to the regional vicinity, continued focus on getting Gilbert's name out to the best advertising opportunities, which we are already in the progress of. Intent is to catch regional attention and to introduce Gilbert's current tourism and hospitality experiences, and gather Gilbert's best potential tourism-related materials and brochures to have ready to go for the tourists when they get here. For focusing on tourism as a big driving force in Gilbert could be expanding on the Legato Conference Center. Gilbert is the ideal location for businesses to come in and hold meetings such as politics, trade, science, technology. These are typically smaller meetings held in conference centers. Looking from a bigger perspective, business and leisure tours, a good example is Monsanto. This is an agricultural company with purpose to work alongside farmers by selling seed, developing traits through biotechnology and crop production chemicals. This company has it worked out where people can call in from the community, regional area, or outside of the state that want to come tour the facility. And that will bring in revenue dollars for Gilbert through tourism. Example buildings in Gilbert that could potentially do this would be those right there here in Gilbert. So, and that would all come with strategic planning. They would have to be by the hotels, the restaurants. It would all have to flow together. Tourism strengths here in Gilbert would be their social, environmental, and economic benefits to tourism here in Gilbert. Gilbert attracts 40,000 plus tourists to the Riparian Preserve with an additional benefit of the observatory. The Heritage District continues to grow tourism attractions with its exceptional dining experiences and downtown events. The temple opening in the fall of this year, there's great tourist potential here. The Historical Museum broadening its mission to develop a cultural center. Currently, Cosmo Dog Park attracts many outside visitors, and that has been nationally recognized for being one of the best dog parks. Sports venues attract thousands of tournament participants each year. Unique shopping experience at Santian Village, unique festivals and events that attract local and outside visitors. Medical facilities in Gilbert are designed to attract patients from throughout the country for extended care. And the Polytech campus continues to develop and will generate professional and academic conferences. And looking at the tourism dollars that will come into Gilbert, this is the multiplier effect. So this will happen or it'll be similar to this. New hotels set up, that creates jobs, local businesses supply services, other companies are attracted to the area, more jobs are indirectly created, workers spend their income in the local area and tax revenues increase. Taxes spent on improving infrastructure, image, and tourist services, and the area can become a more popular tourist destination, increasing profitability and revenue for reinvestment. Tourism weaknesses in Gilbert would be we don't have one specific driving force, lack of bringing people into the hotels. And also currently we don't have a main phone number or a location for tourists to call or pick up information right now. Tourism threats for Gilbert would be the surrounding communities, Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, et cetera. These are established tourism agencies that have a strong focus on tourism right now. Tourism opportunities in Gilbert will be that it is a developing community as we speak right now. Undeveloped areas still readily available for development as a destination. Its ability to brand Gilbert's image, it's a young and vibrant community and businesses and employment opportunities. So that is our presentation.
We did bring with us some samples of some of the places where we're advertising now and some of the things that Mandy talked about in the presentation that you're welcome to take a look at. But, Your Honor, we'd be happy to try and answer questions if you have any.
Is this also the Los Angeles Times report?
It's in there.
It's in there. And
in there.
Where are the best places to eat? I'll read it. I'll read it.
Yeah.
And is this a copy to share?
Yes.
Okay. I will do that. Questions or comments from the council? Very exciting material. The tourism board that the chamber had organized, and I think you continued to use it, and then we now have the ACT board. Have they been assimilated? Are they the same, or are they two separate groups?
They're two separate groups, except we will have representation in an ad hoc capacity on the ACT board with someone from that group. So we'll have a connection there. And we're also going to encourage all of the hoteliers and other, we have some other tourism-related businesses that are on that group too. We're going to encourage them to attend the ACT board to be actively involved with them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the information. I will not be selfish, but I will take it first and then pass it to the rest of you on a rotating basis. Thank you. Agenda item number 3, discussion on efficiency and effectiveness. Any discussion on that tonight? Thank you for the attendance. Study session adjourned.